Gilmore.
Lascan Corla. Firstly, I want to thank my colleague, Deputy Roisin Shortall, for putting this motion on the agenda for the House last night and tonight. And I want to thank all of the members of the House who have contributed to the debate. In 7 or 8 minutes' time, we will come to vote on this motion. And let me be very clear about this. There is no obligation on any government member of this House or any supporter of the government to vote against this motion here tonight. Government deputies will justify, or will seek to justify, voting against this motion on the grounds that somehow they are obliged to support the government position on it. The government will not fall if the Labour Party motion is passed here tonight. Because what the Labour Party motion is doing here tonight is simply calling on the government not to touch child benefit in next week's budget. It's a call, it's an appeal. The verb in the Labour Party motion is the verb calls, is the same verb that is actually in the government's own amendment. Because the government's own amendment, curiously, and I've never seen this in a government amendment before, is calling on the government to consider the various options around child benefit and their implications for the needs of families with children. It is the first time, Lascan Corla, that I have seen a member of the Cabinet submitting an amendment to a private member's motion which is calling on her own government to do something. And in this case, all she is calling for is some kind of a consideration. She seems to think that the government is some kind of an ESRI that will spend some time considering the various options around child benefit and their implications for the needs of families. As an alternative, this House can call on the government not to cut child benefit in next week's budget, because family incomes have already taken a substantial hit in the last 2 budgets, because Ireland is still a very expensive place to raise a child, because child benefit is the only recognition by the state of this high cost, because cutting child benefit will have a deflationary impact on the economy, and because any of the proposed reforms will create poverty traps, work disincentives, and will increase the numbers of children in poverty. Let us not forget why we are here. We are debating the government's stated intention to take money from mothers and children in order to plug the hole that they themselves have blown in the public finances. We are here because Fianna Fáil has brought us here. The same deputies on government benches who now throw up their hands and say that cutting child benefit is the only way are the very ones who allowed greed to turn our good economy into a property bubble. The same men and women who have spent the past 2 nights patting themselves on the back for increasing child benefit over the past decade are the ones who have mortgaged our children's future for decades to come in the form of NAMA, robbing the children to pay the banks. They are looking to children and to families to pay the consequences of this economic crisis, but they are very silent on the causes. In this, they are sadly aided by the Green Party, a party ostensibly so committed to children that they put them at the heart of their election campaign in 2007. Where are those values now? I don't recall any proposal being put to the Green Party conference requiring a 2/3 majority that would cut child benefit. It wasn't in the revised programme for government. There is no obligation under the revised programme for government for them to support this measure. The government has focused on its role in increasing child benefit payments to families in the past. But this motion is not about the past. It's about the effect of a cut on child benefit payments will have on families and children now and into the future. This cut in child benefit is coming on top of a significant reduction in family incomes over the past 12 months. Families have already been hit with a reduction in mortgage interest relief, the cutting of child benefit for 18-year-olds, a big increase in school transport cost, the halving of early childcare supplement, which will be abolished from January, as well as the income levies. And as for the 150,000 people who have joined the live register since this time last year, child benefit is often a lifeline that helps keep food on the table and the house warm, even if one parent is still in a job. Since the emergency budget in April, I have received hundreds of letters, many from concerned mothers who say that between the income levies and the pension levy for public servants, they are barely able to make ends meet. For young parents with a large mortgage and high childcare costs, a cut in child benefit will make a genuine crisis. This government has indicated that it favours a three-tiered system for child benefit. Those on social welfare and low incomes, those who are very well off and who identify themselves as such to the revenue commissioners, and those in the middle. This is a deeply flawed and fundamentally unfair proposal. Firstly, making child benefit conditional on receiving social welfare or the family income supplement will act as yet another poverty trap, where it costs people to move into paid work. Secondly, it is risible that this Fianna Fáil government, which has consistently facilitated tax avoidance by the super-rich, should propose to rely on those same wealthy people putting their hands up and handing back their child benefit. And we all know who is going to bear the brunt of any cut in child welfare. It will be those in the middle, PAYE workers for the most part, who pay for everything and who receive little for it. But you can only tap the same source for so long before it runs dry. Child benefit is not, as some would characterise it, a contribution towards the luxuries of life. For the overwhelming majority, it is money that parents count on to pay for childcare, for trips to the doctor, for food and clothing for their children. And for tens of thousands of families in this recession, it is a crucial source of household income that just about keeps them afloat. Fianna Fáil congratulates itself on the generosity of the child benefit payment, but it must be seen in context. Child benefit is the Swiss knife of the social welfare system. It is supposed to compensate for the fact that Ireland's tax code does not recognise the cost of bringing up children. It is supposed to address child poverty. It is supposed to make up for the lack of affordable childcare, or the fact that Ireland almost uniquely in the European Union did not have a universal preschool system. It is meant to compensate for the absence of free medical care for children. No welfare payment, however generous, could achieve all of these objectives. That requires the vision to invest in an affordable national childcare system. It requires the courage to introduce universal health insurance for children, as the Labour Party has been proposing since 2002. In short, it requires a value system that works the well-being of children and families into the permanent structures of our society and state. There is, however, little evidence of such values in the policies being pursued by this government. Ministers in this government never miss an opportunity to remind people that they have increased social welfare rates during the good years. But now that the good years are over, they tell us that they can no longer afford these payments. The government's policy now appears to be Fianna Fáil give it and Fianna Fáil take it away.